Welcome back to RVN-TV. I'm your host, Dana Carney of Midday with Dana. Thanks so much for tuning in, and happy Thursday. Right now, we actually have Faye Weber joining me from Genesis Spiritual Healing and Metaphysics Center. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you're here today.
Me too.
So tell us a little, actually, tell me and the viewers a little bit about yourself.
So I currently am a spiritual practitioner, a medium, shamanic practitioner, and I serve people all over New Jersey, even people from Pennsylvania. And I'm currently located in Mount Holly. And my journey to this moment is very, very long, and lots of changes and twists and a lot of different experiences. I started in spirituality and metaphysics back in 1997, and actually what inspired me, which I always like to mention, a lot of people probably have heard of them, but I was actually inspired by the band 311. One of their albums was very deep and metaphysical.
Can you remind me of one of the songs? I'm sorry, I just have to remember.
The ones that a lot of people know are Down, all mixed up. If you heard them, I know you'd know them.
Okay, yeah, of course.
You know. But that album's not the one. But so anyway, they kind of are the ones who got me started on the path of getting into all the different spiritual topics, metaphysical, New Age type stuff. And then it just kind of went on from there. So it's been a kind of a long journey. And over time, I've gotten into so many different topics and subjects and read so many different books. And throughout my life, I had a lot of spiritual experiences in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it would be, especially when I was, 6 and 7 was the first time I think I had experiences. And to make a long story short, basically I would have these spirits coming to me and saying things to me and telling me who they are, saying their names.
Question out of curiosity. Does that have a look, or is it a sound? Like, out of curiosity, what is that like?
It's different for different people.
Okay.
Some people will see, some people will hear, some people just sense. I've always been extremely clairvoyant, and that's when you can see things, not with your physical eyes, but you kind of see them in your mind the same way you would have a thought.
Okay.
Like if you just imagine a rabbit in your mind, that's like the way we see. So when I was younger, I think even back then, the seeing was stronger. But also my hearing is very strong. So anyway, they would come to me, and I thought I was going crazy, my imaginary friends.
Sure.
And then it just kind of followed me all through life. And I would walk into buildings and know things that happened without someone telling me, or know someone that lived there without someone,
Now, does that run in your family at all?
Not as far as I know.
Now, were you able to tell your parents about this? Or did you keep this internal?
They know. I think they pretty much have an idea of what I'm doing.
When you were young, though?
No. Back then, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't tell anybody.
At what point did you figure out that you have this amazing gift?
I think later in my teen years, probably around 18 on, is when it started. Actually, right around the same time I got into the spirituality, I think is when I started to figure out what it was that I was always experiencing. Because I'd also often go out into public places, and I'd get really overwhelmed just by being around all the people, because there would be information about these people that there's no way I should know this, And I think I shut it off, and I became really withdrawn.
Okay.
So I tried to run away from it.
That could be kind of scary, I would imagine.
Yeah. And then it kind of always snuck back here and there. There would be several times where I would see somebody I knew, and I would just kind of had this really bad feeling that something was going to happen to them, or they were going to die, and then it would happen. And at one point, it freaked me out so bad that I actually had panic attacks. And eventually, I got them to go away. But so anyway, fast forward a little bit. I had so many experiences that I realized I have to do something with it, or it's just going to follow me and haunt me.
Yeah, literally haunt you.
So the best thing to do is to learn how to use it to help other people. So finally, what is it, 2018 now? So 5 years ago. Finally, 5 years ago, I went to take some classes and actually get trained in how to control it and how to use it on purpose, as opposed to just, at random and by accident. And through that, I also realized I'm also very inclined to also do healing. A lot of times they come together. So a lot of times you meet somebody who's like, a medium, or they do something like, psychic, whatever. A lot of times they're also a healer, because they're so intertwined that you usually end up doing both. So,
and that's shamanic?
Shamanic healing, I do now.
Okay.
Before that, I was doing pretty much just the Reiki and crystal healing. And
can we go into what those are?
Yep.
Out of curiosity.
Yep.
Okay. What is Reiki?
All right. So Reiki is actually probably one of the most widely accepted and common ones of
That I
all
don't
of them
know about.
as of right now. But it really is kind of like the most well-known. And it's a Japanese healing method. And it's been around, I think it started, as far as we know, back in like 1922, somewhere around there. And it was started by a Japanese Buddhist. And then it kind of just spread all around the world. And it's kind of really evolved since then. And it's not exactly the way that it started out, but it's lasted because it works. And what it is the actual word Reiki stands for divinely guided life force energy when you translate it into English. And what that is it's the living force that runs through all living things. So the entire universe is made of Reiki. I'm made of Reiki, you're made of Reiki. So as a Reiki practitioner, when I go to heal somebody or give somebody a healing session, the person would lie down on a bed or on the floor. Usually it's on like a massage table. And the practitioner will put their hands on or around the person. And the feeling is similar to getting a massage. It's very calming, relaxing, relieving. But it's known, especially if you go several times, to help completely get rid of issues, They're actually starting to use it in hospitals a lot now. And it helps cancer patients deal with the symptoms of the cancer and the radiation, the chemotherapy, and all that. So it's really starting to get popular. Then, the last year, I think maybe the last 2 years, I was feeling like I love doing Reiki, I love teaching it. But I felt like there was a missing part. There's something that I'm not doing that I'm supposed to be doing. And then I kind of was nudged in the direction. I kept being drawn to the word, the shamanic stuff, the shamanism, shamanic healing, blah, blah, blah. And it would kind of always like pop up in my face. And then finally one day I decided to join an apprenticeship, and I completed that within the last year. We spent 8 months learning, and even in the first month, what I learned so far, I started using in my practice, and I realized that's what was missing. And it's like, that's what I was looking for.
That's why it was popping up so much.
Yeah. So I feel so much more complete now. I really, really do. So now my healing is not just the Reiki, but it actually focuses a bit more on the shamanic healing. And the difference is, I kind of explained what Reiki is. And they're both healing, alternative healing modalities, but they have completely different histories, and they're not done in exactly the same way. So whereas Reiki is more hands-on, and it's just kind of like passing energy from your hands to the other, shamanic healing, there's a lot more kind of tools involved. And for history, if you think of the Native Americans, the medicine men, that's kind of what everyone is familiar with. That's kind of what shamanism is, except it's all around the world. It's basically the most ancient form of healing that there is. And while Reiki has its place and can do wonders, I just find that shamanic healing is a lot more, in my opinion, it's more immediate, it's more permanent, and I think it just maybe comes more natural to me for some reason.
That's amazing. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, more about Faye Weber and shamanic healing. Okay, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Christine Patton, the Juice Girl. The Champion Juicer has been my juicer of choice for years. Whether I'm making a glass of juice or a large batch of juice for my juice bar. These juicers are simple to use and so easy to clean. Champion juicers are masticating, cold-pressed juicers. 2 models are available, the Classic 2000 and the new Elite 4000. Besides juicing, both models can make frozen fruit, smoothies, nut butters, sauces, and even baby food. The Elite 4000 Champion Juicer also excels at juicing greens and wheatgrass. These juicers deserve to be called the world's finest. For more information, please visit my website at juicegirlpharmacy.com or championjuicer.com.
Welcome back to Midday with Dana. I'm your host, Dana Carney, and we're here on our RVN-TV studios in Cherry Hill. I have Faye Weber, a medium and shamanic practitioner of Genesis Spiritual Healing Center. So thank you so much for joining me back here.
You're welcome.
And you gave such insightful information. It was incredible. And I wanted to actually start back there with shamanic healing.
Oh, okay. I had been originally doing the Reiki, and then I discovered Shamanic Healing and realized that that was kind of the missing link in my healing sessions. So now I'm kind of basically combining them both. And I don't want, they both have their place, so I like them both equally. I do. But I've noticed.
What candidate would you recommend for either or?
It really doesn't matter. Whether it's, honestly, I feel like people are more drawn to me when they need more of an energetic, spiritual, kind of emotional healing.
Okay.
I do get clients with physical issues, and they see results pretty well too. But I feel like I attract those who are, like really, really stressed out about this, or I can't decide about that.
So I can see that. I can see why.
Yeah, maybe that is it, Yeah. So I basically work mainly with those who are trying to get through some kind of evolution in their life, or trying to make a change, or shed the past, or make a huge transition. Like, should I leave my career for another, blah blah blah. Not just in the healing.
They're stuck in something.
Right. Basically, yeah. Basically, when someone kind of feels like they're stuck, they're stressed, and they can't break a pattern, or they really just need someone to lift them up. Mm-hmm. That's really, I think, what I attract the most.
Does that lead into, I guess, a segue into Akashic Records a little bit?
Yeah. A lot of people actually like to get them together. So a lot of people will get the Akashic Records reading, and I have an add-on for Shamanic Healing, and a lot of times people get them together, and they actually go very well together.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk about what an Akashic Records are?
So that totally leads us into the Akashic Records, because often people want to get both. And they actually have a lot of similarities, because Shamanic Healing touches on a very, very deep soul level. It's basically soul healing is what Shamanic Healing is. Akashic Records reading is basically a soul reading, and that's why they go so well together.
Wow.
So the Akashic Records, an actual Akashic Records reading is not the same as your usual other readings. I used to do psychic readings because I figured, I know that I'm psychic, that's what I'm supposed to do. But I just found over time that it wasn't deep enough, and people's questions were not deep enough for me, and it wasn't really where I wanted to help people. I need to help people on a soul level.
Was it probably a superficial level?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, and the Akashic Records go way, way deeper than that.
Yeah.
So as opposed to just looking at, you and your body right now, today, and what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow, who said this about you yesterday, how does my boyfriend feel about me? It's more, why am I where I am today? Mm-hmm. Why is this not going right in my life? Why do I keep ending up with this kind of person? What might have happened in a previous lifetime that makes me feel the way I do now? And while the Akashic Records hold the history of our entire soul, so the word Akasha, the Akashic Records hold the history of our entire soul from the beginning of creation all the way to this moment, as well as the entire history of the universe. So when you access the Akashic Records, you have to constantly be asking specific questions, because you're basically walking into this huge library filled with encyclopedias and dictionaries. And if you just walk in there and you don't have something to look up, you're going to be in there for a long, long time looking for your answer, So the Akashic Records, you have to ask very specific questions. They really help you to understand why, how, and what, as opposed to, like with the psychic readings, when will this, when will that, will I ever, blah, blah, blah.
And that changes, right? Like, if you can give a psychic reading, that can change within a second, right?
It can.
One decision can just change.
It can, but too many people hold on to it.
Okay.
And I feel like it defeats the purpose of living in the moment.
Yeah, you're right, it does.
So I've always been...
So we'll go back to the Akashic Records.
Yeah, I've never really liked the future stuff.
Yeah.
So with the Akashic Records, not just a reading, but it's also very healing. Okay. Because you can actually leave your records open and actually do healing with your records open, and it will actually go back and kind of heal a lot of stuff from those previous lifetimes.
Right.
When you get an Akashic Record reading, you do have to have a really open mind. I know not everybody has their own beliefs, or you might have been raised a certain way, and this isn't real, that's not real, you believe this. But you have to have a very open mind with the Akashic Records, because there's all kinds of weird stuff that can come up.
Like what, for example? I'm just curious.
A lot of it is past life related,
okay.
But also a lot of it is this life, but the deeper reason why. And the biggest thing, not just in the Akashic Records, but in a lot of spiritual beliefs or belief systems is that when we come here with a mission. So we're, and we're the spirit that comes into a body. So the body is just, this is a shell.
So, side question, I think we talked about this the other day, just for even just mothers that maybe have gone through this. The body is the body. So I was pregnant recently. The soul of
the soul is the actual essence of the person.
Okay.
So, when you're talking to me right now, what you feel when you sit next to me, what you see, the life you see in my eyes, and my energy and my demeanor, if it's calm or whatever, that is my spirit, that is my soul, that is me. That's the real me. I'm just traveling in this, This is just my, pretty much. So with the beliefs, and it really has helped me be more forgiving in my life and to understand other people. But we come into this lifetime in this body for specific reasons, to learn certain things. We actually have missions, we have purposes, and oftentimes we have agreements. So with somebody that you can't stand, you guys probably agreed on it before you came into the body, and I'm going to teach you this, and you're going to teach me that. And then, the next time, the next time we'll be best friends. Just this one time, let's hate each other, and next time we'll be best friends again, right? Just to teach each other something. And then you come into this life, and you can't stand them, they can't stand you. It's, back and forth for years and years and years.
Could be a reason why.
And that's usually what it is.
Okay.
And the funny thing is that I bet you after this life, when, both of you have passed, you're going to go back and laugh about it like it's a joke. It's like we have to not take things so seriously. We're not here to just be in, torment and, struggle. That's not what the purpose of life is. It really, there's no way. There's no way any intelligent creation would have that be the goal. So there's always a deeper meaning, usually, most of the time. Sometimes I think stuff just happens. I do.
Okay.
But for the most part, especially as a human experience, there's such depth to our being.
A grudge that you can have, a long-term grudge, could actually just be something that was a disagreement or agreement that happened in a past life.
It could be several things. It could be you guys agreed that you're going to hate each other in this life for whatever reason, so you could learn, or so you could be separate because maybe you guys were always together and one was always relying on the other, and they were like, you know what, next time you do it without me. Yeah. All right? Just, so you can learn how to do it by yourself. Right. You're going to do it without me. So it could be something like that. And that's an example of a lot of, stuff that comes up in the Akashic Records readings. And it also could be holding on to a grudge from a previous lifetime. It could be something that this person did to you, thousands of years ago, and your soul is still kind of damaged by it, and kind of you had a hard time letting go of it. So we carry on scars like that for a long time.
Would you not recommend the Akashic Records reading to a certain person? No?
As long as you have an open mind and you're not looking for fortune telling, the Akashic Records can really be for anybody.
More about the why. I'm into the why.
Yeah, if you want a more deeper understanding of your life and your relationships and maybe your purpose and everything like that, then as long as those are your intentions, then you would probably get a lot out of an Akashic Records.
We have to wrap up very shortly, but as far as the services for being a medium, can you talk a little bit about that?
So in addition to those, I also do mediumship, and that was, of course, the biggest thing that kind of led me into developing myself professionally. So I've also been a medium for the last 5 years, well, all my life, but I've been doing it professionally for the last 5 years. And over time, it's just over and over and over again, even for myself. I know there's life after death. I know there is. I know there is because of the experiences I've had. And when I sit down with somebody and I don't know them from a hole in the wall, and they want to, connect with whichever person. Sometimes it's open floor, and it's, whoever's coming through, that's who you get. Yeah. Other times we'll have a photo, or they'll tell me the name. And the stuff that comes through is it's so specific that there's no way I could make it up. And I get emotional. So I get emotional, and then every time it happens, it's confirmation to me, again, that there's something more than this. I actually had... I don't know how much time we have, but there's something that actually just recently happened to me that was a big lesson for me to remember that there's more than this. Yeah. So a lot of times in mediumship, people's pets come up.
Okay.
So, say the grandfather passed and the grandfather had a dog, And they were always close and everything. And then we're sitting down for mediumship, and your grandfather's coming through. And then the dog will also be there. I'll see the dog running around. Sometimes it'll, show what it looks like. And it's always, they always kind of make their presence known. And I struggled actually with something this last week. I hope I don't cry on TV.
I was just about to for a different reason, so you're okay.
But did that relate to you, the grandpa with the dog?
Yeah.
Okay. That's usually what happens when I use examples. For some reason, that example is with the person. So the last few days, I've been actually struggling with death myself, even as a medium. I was driving down the street, and there was a few cars in front of me, and a little tiny kitty came running out into the street. And I'm a big cat person. I'm a total animal person. I'm a vegan, and I just love all animals, but cats especially. And this little tiny kitty comes running out, and I'm just like, oh, please make it. And he didn't make it, and then one car hit him, and they just kept speeding. And I don't want to go into detail because it was very disturbing. But I actually witnessed the suffering and, the few moments that it took until the cat passed. And I could not leave it in the road and let it get run over, So me and a few other people that I found, we went and we got the cat and so we could take it off the road and put it somewhere a little more appropriate. But the whole incident itself, without explaining everything, it was so honestly traumatizing to actually watch that and experience it and actually pick it up with my hands. It had just passed and I had to pick it up with my hands. So it was like I'm face to face with death. And this is what I deal with all the time. And I had to go through just this little kitty, I had to go through this loss of this kitty I didn't even know, So anyway, I had to bring myself through it by constantly reminding myself that that body is not the kitty.
Right.
That body is not the kitty. The spirit is the kitty. The kitty is still around. And I've been struggling with it all week. Then today I was sitting at home, and I actually started crying again. And I just saw this vision of that kitty running through this open field of grass, freely and not harmed. And I just felt so much better. I really feel like, it was trying to communicate with me, like, hey, I'm okay. And it's like,
It's a good reminder.
Yeah, even as a medium, we still have that human side of us that fears death. It just doesn't always seem to completely go away. And that
It's
experience,
the thought,
and the human experience of it is very sad, and it's despair and it's grief, even though there's something more. So that's why in mediumship, I'm very understanding that I know what the other person is feeling or going through. And I really am there to try and help them see, come through that and see the bigger picture of everything. It's okay.
It happens.
That experience really helped me, I think. And I think it happened for a reason. Yeah. And I was there. Someone also reminded me I was there for that cat for a reason. Like, I was the best person to be there for that little kitty. And I do feel like that kitty knew that I was someone who cared at that moment.
It's a beautiful story.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm sorry. I had to share it. I'm so sorry.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing and crying, everybody.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Well, we're going to wrap up on that note. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Can you tell the viewers how to get in touch with you?
Oh, yeah, sure. If you would like to get in touch with me, I'm really best reached by email. If you want to ask me a question or anything, it's Faye, F-A-Y-E, at genesisspiritualhealing.com. If you just go to the website, genesisspiritualhealing.com, you'll find me. If you just Googled Faye Weber, Genesis Spirit, any of those combinations, you will find me on Google. Phone number is 609-445-HEAL. If you're interested in any appointments or classes, I also teach psychic and mediumship development. I teach the Reiki. I teach a lot of spiritual development classes as well as the services. So thank you so much for watching the show today and having me on. Very grateful.
Thanks so much for tuning in. I will catch you next Tuesday and Thursday.